inaleta mabadiliko IEBC, na mbinu mpya za uchaguzi IEBC, yenye wadhifa wa mipaka IEBC. Chagua Kenya unayoitaka IEBC, usirudie yale makosa.
Commissioner Letangule.
Yes, sir.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
How are you doing today?
Thank you.
Very good. Very good. Well, let's get straight into it.
Yes.
And before we tackle the topic of the day, have a discussion, answer one or two questions, emerging issues from last week's show.
Right.
And today we take, first question is from a gentleman called Ken Kinoti, who asks, I would like to know if one can be allowed to vote even if he or she has lost the documents they used to register and has a valid police abstract.
In order for you to be eligible to vote, you go in with your ID or a passport, one of the two documents.
Indeed.
And as long as you are an adult of 18 years and you are eligible as a voter, then you are allowed to register as a voter.
Yes.
At the day of voting, then you must produce the document that you used to register. If you registered with an ID, then you must produce the ID. If you registered with a passport, then you must produce a passport before the polling clerks for you to be allowed to vote.
There was a second question from a lady called Ivy. She says, does it mean on voter registration that one can register as a voter through your website or electronically in a station?
You must appear physically before the polling clerks who register you so that your details are taken, your biometrics, your data are captured in the machine. So you cannot sit on your desk and register online.
We want to discuss the laws that govern the elections. But just before we get into that, I'm aware that you led an observer team into the recently concluded elections in Senegal.
Yes.
How was that? What was the experience there?
I was the team leader for the Kenyan delegation from our commission to the Senegalese elections, the just concluded elections. We went there as an observer team, and we were able to observe and participate in the electoral process, the entire process, and what my experience there and my team's experience that the election was done in a very simple and transparent way, and all the parties had confidence in the commission to deliver. What we noticed as something, a very positive aspect of it was that we counted the ballot papers, and we closed the stations at about 6, and by 7:38 we were done with counting. And before the results were announced, at about 9:30, the sitting president Abdoulaye Wade had already called and conceded. And we thought that was a very amazing thing. It's a good culture. And within that short period, the country was relaxed and things moved on as normal. We went specifically because we wanted to learn the rerun, the second round.
Indeed.
Because now in our laws, there is a provision that if there is no clear winner in the first round, we'll go for rerun. Yes. And so as a commission, we're trying to get faster and learning.
The electoral process, I believe, has always been governed by certain laws.
Yeah.
What is so new about these laws as opposed to what we have had in the past?
The laws governing elections have really been existing before. However, with the coming in of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, there was need then to operationalize clear provisions of this Constitution in as far as electoral laws are concerned. So one, the legal framework, we have the Constitution, which is the foundation. It's what we call in law the Grundnorm. It's the cornerstone.
Yes.
Then now, to operationalize the Constitution, key acts of Parliament were enacted. We have the Political Parties Act, we have the Elections Act, and those are the key statutes that were established. And then, of course, the IEBC Act, the act that has set this commission, also deals with elections and electoral processes.
Yes.
Yeah, so they are simply operationalizing the Constitution.
We went out to talk to the members of the public who also had some questions to ask you.
Will the Commission simplify all these election laws for better understanding by all Kenyans.
I want to know if the IEBC has the ability to enforce the law on electoral malpractices.
Well, there you have it. Will the Commission simplify all these laws for better understanding?
As a commission, we have a duty to do civic education. That's part of our mandate as a commission, to conduct civic education, to make people understand the laws of the country, to even break those laws into simplified versions of the same, and even make translations in Kiswahili for better understanding. So we're taking steps together with our development partners to develop some handbooks which are simplified in version. For example, we have now launched a handbook on electoral laws by a group called IEBC. This is just one of those books that try to merge all these laws for better understanding. We are sure that we're now talking to key donors to roll out these books, to have them translated in Kiswahili, and so that wananchi can understand. You know, we are talking about election laws. You're talking about Political Parties Act. What does it say? You know, and people don't have time. So we're trying to simplify the laws relating, governing to elections for better understanding of the people.
The second question, does your commission have the ability to enforce the law on electoral malpractice?
For the first time, the commission conducting elections has been given powers. I say this because previous commissions did not have these powers. If you look at Article 84, 4E of our Constitution, it clearly gives this commission the power to prosecute, to handle issues arising out of nominations, electoral offenses, also the Elections Act. So as a commission, we are now setting up a whole department which is going to deal with electoral offenses by way of investigations, prosecution, and so we intend to bite, so to speak. Yes. But having said that, we hope that the systems that we are putting in as a commission this time round are going to work, so that there will be no necessity really to charge people.
You're watching Countdown with the IEBC. More when we return shortly.
Mbinu mpya za uchaguzi yenye wadhifa wa mipaka.
Welcome back. You're watching Countdown with the IEBC. Today our guest, Commissioner Thomas Letangule.
Nataka kujua sheria inasema nini kuhusu tarehe ya uchaguzi.
What are the requirements needed for anyone who wants to fight for the seat for the coming general election?
What does the law say about the election date?
Well, the Constitution of Kenya, of course, is clear about the election date. It's set the date as the second Tuesday of every 5th year. However, in these first elections, because of the transitional clauses, it was not certain as when the elections under the new Constitution will be held this time round. Therefore, it became a subject of a court case, which you all know.
Indeed.
So the commission waited for that determination, and the court made that decision, which then said the elections can only be held after the expiry of the term of the current parliament, or in the event that the two principals agree to dissolve the coalition government.
Yes.
So those are the only circumstances. So we consulted, we wrote to the principals whether they will take that option. Of course, they didn't do that. And we as a commission could not just sit down and wait. We had to give the country some guidelines. And we had to, because before elections, there are certain timelines which must be met.
Indeed.
Political parties must register. Candidates who are state officers must resign within 8 months before, and so on. And so there is a whole program before the election date, submission of nominated candidates. So we could not just sit. And remember, we can't again disobey the court order. So we look at the whole scenario. And we had to come up with a date, which we now say is the 4th of March, 2013. That's the date, taking all circumstances into view, taking into that this current parliament term is coming to an end on the 15th of January 2013. Then, of course, there is the campaign period, and so we settle on this date. However, we have always said that should the Court of Appeal overturn that decision, and, for example, order us to do election in December, we are on record saying this commission is ready to do election in December.
Yes. Are the principals time-barred?
They're running out of time, if you ask me, because the period within which the civil servants who want to vie will resign is now shortening.
Yes.
Yeah, but they still have the capacity if they want to. As a commission, we have said if it were December, we're ready. But now we have fixed the date according to the law, and we've come to the 4th of March.
What does the law say about eligibility of candidates who want to vie for a particular position, a particular seat in this upcoming elections?
There is now the Elections Act. It's an elaborate act which states the qualification. For example, you must be a citizen of Kenya. You must be nominated by a political party. You must not be subject to a sentence, a jail sentence of 6 months before election. You know? Yes. So there are certain criteria. You must have certain education. For example, for a member of parliament, post-secondary school education. That is to say, probably it's sufficient to have a diploma.
Yes, we have seen many of them going back to school.
Yes.
Yes.
So those qualifications are in the Act. It's not the IEBC's qualification. They are in the Act. Ours is to enforce. And we are going to do that.
What are the parameters and criteria for me to stand as an independent?
The Constitution now talks about the need for independent candidates. They can vie. Independent candidates now, you don't have to be a member of a political party to vie for any political seat.
Is that inclusive of the presidency?
Yes, absolutely. And so it says that, one, you must not, now this is the condition, you must not be a member of a political party. And at least 3 months before the election, you are not a member anywhere of a political party. That is the condition. So you can't just jump from a political party 3 months or 2 months before election and say, I'm independent. Yes. So if you intend to be an independent candidate, I think that's a very key criteria. You must not be a member of a political party 3 months before election.
Can I vie for office if I am a dual citizen?
The law says that you can have dual citizenship. It recognizes. And indeed, that's why now we are working towards the diaspora voters of Kenya, Kenyan citizens who are resident outside Kenya. Because the requirement is that as long as you can prove your citizenship, you can vote. So the idea is that if you are a citizen of Kenya, that's the only thing that says that as long as you are a citizen. And so it doesn't say if you have another citizenship, you can't. No, as long as you have this citizenship, that's crucial. You can vie and you can vote.
What does it mean now that you're empowered to do dispute resolution as a commission?
Under Article 84(4)(a), we are mandated to deal with disputes arising from nominations or from the nomination stage, but not election petitions. So we can only deal with disputes before, elections.
Okay.
Right? So what it means is this. We can solve those disputes which arise out of nominations as a commission, but we cannot take the role of the court. Of course, the court then takes over any disputes arising out after elections. The law before was saying, if I sue you,
you have to serve me
personally.
Indeed.
Including a presidential candidate.
Indeed.
Now, that is not gone. All I need to do is either serve you personally. If I don't access you, I advertise the case in newspapers. And of course, the process is for presidential disputes, 7 days, the case is filed in court, and it will be decided within 21 days.
Yes.
And for member of parliament, within 21 days, you will have to file the case, and it will be decided in the shortest period of time.
Yes.
I think 6 months by the court. So the disputes now is fast track.
Well, there you have it. Thank you very much for joining us on this show today. We'd like to hear more of your comments and your questions. Our contacts are scrolling at the bottom of your screen. Our Facebook page is there, and our Twitter account, and you can get us on our email address. And we are glad to be of service.